So this show, and sorry for the false starts on Twitter. Um, Playback. Hold on. Mute my show. Mute my computer. Um, so, uh, yeah, I try to announce it on Twitter ahead of time, but I ended up having lots of things that got in the way, and I didn't get started until a couple hours later. So I don't expect anybody's going to come and watch me now. But basically, I had the idea. I really wanted to start streaming creating supplements, and I thought it'd be really cool. Because there used to be a really popular show that did that, and they have since gone away, and I miss it. So I thought, why not make one myself? But basically, I had the idea after watching. I was watching Critical Role's Dungeons and Dragon, or sorry, their Doom, D&D stream thing, where they basically played as the demons from the Doom video game series, and it gave me the idea to make potentially a subclass that would sort of mimic the very fast-paced action stylings of the Slayer from Doom, the Doom guy, as they used to be known. And basically, so I had in mind to make it like something that could move around the battlefield constantly, something where you wouldn't even necessarily want to hit the same enemy twice. Maybe if you do, maybe attack it from a different side or something like that. I'm not entirely certain how we're going to do it just yet, but these are the premises that I have. So immediately, and like doing things like ripping things, and like if it's weaker than you, ripping its head in half, that kind of thing, something weird like that. I don't know how we're going to do that and make it balanced, but that's the fun of this, is getting into it and sort of creating it from scratch. So so it's going to be, I was thinking, for mobility, we could go monk or rogue. I was hoping I could get people into the chat that might be able to participate and give me feedback on this kind of thing. But then I fumbled the Twitter feed and all that kind of stuff. So for the Twitter announcements and stuff. But I was thinking, like I was saying, for mobility, we could do rogue or monk, and that would allow us to move around the battlefield much easier. I think monks get increased movement speed and can disengage and stuff, unless that's just shadow monks. I'll have to look at them again just to be sure. Rogues definitely get to disengage and dash as a bonus action, and that sounds like it'd be really useful. The other one would be barbarian, because then we could turn off and turn on the powers of this class, of this subclass, with a rage, so they wouldn't get it all the time, and it would give us excuses to give them increased damage and things like that. So because they're raging, their rage bonus and stuff like that, we can bring that in. The rogue is going to get their sneak attack all the time. Whenever they have advantage and stuff like that, we may be able to play with that and make it to where if you've grappled someone, you can do an attack, and and when you hit with that attack while you're grappling someone, you automatically get your sneak attack no matter what. But I think you already get advantage on creatures you're attacking. So and rogues, I believe, get their sneak attack. Let me take a look really quick at grappled, because I put the book aside with this page open because I knew I probably would have to look at it. A grappled creature's speed becomes 0, and it can't benefit from any bonus to its speed. Maybe I should scroll down here and do this in the on the screen so that you can see it too. It's page 290. So we're on. Oh, well, it is on my book, on my physical copy. Yeah, I don't know what's going on here. Um, Weird. But anyway, so incapacitated. It's right above incapacitated. On the page with this one. Oh, see, I'm trying to scroll and it's just gone too far. Grappled creature's speed becomes 0, and it can't benefit from any bonus to its speed. The condition ends if the grappler is incapacitated. The condition also ends if an effect removes the grappled creature from reach of the grappler or grapple effect, such as when a creature is hurled away by the Thunder Wave spell. Okay, so yeah, you don't have any bonuses against it, because speed becomes 0 and it can't benefit from any bonuses to its speed. So we could theoretically do a rogue that gains, maybe if we go with a rogue, we could go down here, and I don't know why it's shown in black and white on the stream, but that's weird. It's like the front page isn't, but the rest is. But yeah, so we've got the rogue here, and the rogue we could give it an ability to where while it's grappling someone, it always get its sneak attack bonus. And maybe if it does an unarmed strike against its target, it always does. And the reason I was thinking that is because of the Slayer in Doom rips things in half. It just rips skulls open and crushes them and things like that whenever it attacks them. It seems very it's a pretty powerful move. And I would like to do something like that. And then what we could do is if we want it to be able to move around the battlefield very, very rapidly, like the Doom guy. So if we do something like that, it would like maybe when they finish an attack or whenever they kill a creature, they get an additional movement, or up to their movement speed, the normal movement speed, or an additional 20 feet or 30 feet or something like that of movement to move to a new target. And that would be a pretty interesting, I think, way of dealing with it. That's what I had for Rogue. And I think that would be pretty great. It gets the idea across of doing big damage and just destroying things in your path and moving from one target to the next. But the rogue has that problem where they're a little squishy, and trying to go up to enemies and grapple them also is tough for them because they're generally dexterity based. Now, players may go a dex strength rogue, and that would be interesting. If they split between those two, or if they focused on especially on strength or something like that, then they could do grapple checks more easily. We could also allow this subclass to do dexterity grapple checks, but dexterity is already very powerful, and maybe that would be pushing it. We could go, with the monk, it's about landing a lot of blows at once and like doing multiple attacks, which means you'd be able to the Slayer in the newer Doom games does a lot of maneuvers. He can grab creatures and do all sorts of things to them all in one go, so maybe that would fit fairly well. And perhaps we could use Key, I was thinking, to power up your abilities to do things like maybe grappling. Do they get? I believe there's a subclass, if not the class itself, that actually gets the ability to grapple better. It might be the open palm one, patient defense, step of the wind, flurry of blows. When you use the attack action with an unarmed strike, monastic tradition, deflect missiles. Let me check the monastic traditions. We've got Way of the Open Hand. Open hand technique started with harness your own. Whenever you hit a creature with one of the attacks granted to you for blows, you can impose one of the following effects on the target. It must succeed on dexterity saving throw or be knocked prone. It must make a strength saving throw. If it fails, you can push up to 15 feet away from you. It can't take reactions. Okay, wholeness of body, diamond, soul. So, So this one only gets this one gets evasion here, extra attack, sling strike. So key empowered strike. I want to make sure that we actually have increased mobility with it all the time. Let's see, unarmored movement. Your speed increases by 10 feet while you are not wearing armor or wielding a shield. This bonus increases when you reach certain monk levels. I don't know that I want to use the monk anymore because if we want, if the idea is to make the Slayer or to give players the ability to make the Slayer, then that would be, we definitely don't want to go with encouraging them to not wear armor. If we do want to make something that's not necessarily the Slayer, and by the way, welcome to the show. If you want to participate in chat, you can let me know what you think. I'm looking at deciding on which class, which subclass, or yeah, which main class I'm going to use to create this subclass, and the subclass is going to be based on the Slayer from Doom. And so if you're interested, you can help me decide. I was thinking Rogue, Monk, or Barbarian. I'm going through the list. Rogue has increased mobility, has the ability to do sneak attack. Monk has the ability to do multiple attacks, but I just was realizing that it also encourages you to not wear armor. Slayer from Doom is something that would definitely want to wear armor. So basically, I don't know if I want to do that. But the rogue, if we did a rogue that was strength based, then you wouldn't necessarily want to go. Let's see, what kind of armor do they get? I always forget their armor proficiencies, because I think it's a lot. I think they do get good armor proficiencies. Armor, oh no, just light armor. We can expand that to heavier armor if we want to, and we can grant them a uh, the ability to. And what I was thinking was a sneak attack. When you grapple someone, you always get your sneak attack bonus off on them when you're if you attack them. And that would be to do the thing where you're crushing skulls and stuff like that from Doom. But yeah, I think I've ruled out the monk because the Doom guy is all about his armor, and I think it would be amiss to, even if we're not actually making the Doom guy, we're making a high fantasy creature that's inspired by the movement, the mobility, the combat fighting style of the game Doom. That's what we're trying to get across, is running across the battlefield, high speed, grabbing people, crushing them, shooting them from a distance or something like that, potentially with heavy weapons, but primarily, or just hitting them with heavy weapons. High fantasy, so we're not going to go with guns. So maybe something heavy weapons. So, rogue using heavy weapons would be interesting, and that doesn't exist. I don't think any of the primary rogues are encourage a strength base, and I think that is amiss because there are a lot of rogues in fiction that use strength based, and the Doom guy is a Marine. Maybe that would be or a Space Marine in previous versions of Doom. So I feel like that's a miss to not include some kind of mobility, because Marines are very fast. His power armor gives him a lot of speed and strength. But we were also looking at Barbarian. We haven't actually looked at that yet. I think I just mentioned it a little bit, is that maybe we could use the Rage, light armor, medium armor, and shield. So Barbarians also get that thing where on armored defense. So they're not wearing armor. They also get a boost to their armor. They get their Constitution modifier added to it. And that also encourages you to not wear armor. I'm really thinking going with a rogue at this point, because the being able to put all these powers of mobility and crushing people and things like that behind a rage would be a great thing that you can activate, because in the game you're walking around slow, and then demons attack and you go full blown, go kill everything. And so it feels a little bit like that, but also the Doom guy doesn't have a limit to that. He can rage all day long. And by the way, we're starting this time with mechanics and feel, not with a theme. I usually start with a theme and go from there. This particular one, it was watching the Critical Role stream, and I thought, man, the Doom guy in D&D is a fantastic idea. Thinking about how that character plays is just really interesting. So I thought I would try and put that into D&D and allow, they've got the mobility, the acrobatic monk, which has high mobility because it can, fly through the air and jump and all that kind of stuff. But I'm thinking more like dash up, deal damage. And you know what we could do? We could say, we could give him a charge bonus, something where when he runs up to a target and makes an attack, or attempts a grapple, then he can do it with advantage, perhaps. But he has to run a certain distance before he can. So, or she, obviously. I'm just thinking Doom guy in my head, so I'm thinking guy at the moment. But the character would have to run up to people, and then they would gain a bonus whenever they do, at maybe to hit. But basically, I need to look at these because we're looking at their all the different things they get. They get third level. This one in particular gets 2 at 3rd level. Let's see. Actually, let's go look at this here. Okay, Roguish Archetypes come at 3rd level, and they come at 9th level. I didn't miss any, did I? Nope. And they come at 13th and 17th, and that's it. So the rest of these are, you know, very. Let's make sure we don't have anything that would just completely fly in the face of the design here. We've got expertise. That's great because the Doom guy is just really good at that kind of thing. Does it proficiency with thieves tools? Yeah. Choose 2 or more of your proficiencies in skills or with thieves tools to gain this benefit. Okay. Sneak attack. We've got obviously sneak attack is what it is. We know about that one. That's important. Thieves can't. The ability to speak to other thieves through thieves can't. That's a little bit extra. This is kind of like a bruiser, I guess. A bruiser kind of rogue is kind of the idea here, I suppose you could say. Roguish archetypes. You choose an archetype that yeah, that's easy. Ability score improvement, obviously uncanny dodge. That's the one that allows you to, what is it? You get to, you can see the target hits you with an attack. You can use your reaction to have the attack's damage. Yes, I have a player that's a rogue. I see that a lot. Evasion. That's the one that allows you to, you can nimbly dodge. Oh, I skipped cunning action. That's the important one for this one. You won't get this archetype until you have cunning action. So again, this is great. I mean, you can disengage and run and then slam into somebody else. So this is going to be a class that's trying to, like the assassin, I believe, is as well. So we're going to look at that to make sure I'm not stepping on any toes or wasting time creating something that already exists. Whenever you target, I think this one is all about, this one is all about, you know, let's see. Okay. Starting 3rd level in your deadliest, when you get to drop on your enemies, you have advantage on attack rolls against any creature that hasn't taken a turn. Okay, yeah, they give advantage when they're sneaking, infiltration expertise, false identities, things like that. Yeah, this is nothing like what we are designing now. And I like that because, yeah, you become instant death. When you attack and hit a creature that is surprised, it must make a Constitution saving throw. DC 8 plus your dexterity modifier. Okay, so I did just see a tweet. I'm going to see if I can get more people into the chat, into the stream by checking out what that was just in case. Looks like they liked my tweet. Oh, okay, that's all it was. They just liked my tweet, it looks like. But yeah. Anyway, so I just want to make sure if there was somebody, more people that can come join the stream, that'd be great. Yeah, so we've got that, which is very different from what we're going for. I'm thinking like a rogue that like if a barbarian or a fighter, if a barbarian is like a tank and a fighter is like a armed, you know, military vehicle of other kinds, like a Humvee with an assault rifle. This is like more like going to be like a, I don't know, it's going to be something that's going to charge in there. We'll think high, you know, sci-fi analogies. If a barbarian is a tank, is a scorpion tank, and a fighter is a warthog, we're talking about a chopper here, something that will rush in and slam into the target and you know, very very quickly attempts to take them down in one hit. That was all Halo references, in case anybody's wondering, not Doom references. So basically, yeah, if it's something that would move in and deal a bunch of damage on a blow. So I think that we are going to go with Rogue. I think I'm talking too much about it and not doing it. So I think we're going to go with Rogue, and because it just seems like it's the perfect fit. And I've been wasting time, I think, just talking about it too much at this point because it's probably been decided a little longer. So I'm going to switch to Word. You're no longer going to be able to see the player's handbook. I'm going to put that over here on the other screen, and you're only going to be able to see. Well, now I can't see my my stream and chat. I guess I need to have that. So show viewers. Yeah. Okay. Cool. And I see you, by the way. Yeah. the blank one. I see that there's one person here, but yeah. So this is just my template that I use for everything. I'm going to go ahead and rename it because that's an old that was my first supplement I ever made, or the first one I released to D&D Beyond or DM's Guild, sorry. And we're going to change this. I don't have a name yet, so we will. Well, maybe I shouldn't call it the Slayer because then maybe copyrighted, and trying to make it off the Slayer and then naming it the Slayer even in the stream maybe a no. But or maybe I'm getting them free advertising by talking about their game and how cool it is all the time. Who knows? But in the first, and maybe they won't be mad at all. But we're gonna call it something like okay, so it's a Roguish Archetype. The Roguish Archetypes are referred to by let's see. Oh, just thief, assassin. They just use those terms: thief, assassin, that sort of thing. So we're gonna call it something to the effect of we could call it bruiser. We could call it you know we'll call it bruiser for now, just because I can't think of another name right off the bat. This is all old stuff. Before I forget, because I probably will, I need to update that to 2020 and put my name in right here. Is William Bosley. That's important. You got to keep your legal stuff straight. And we're going to go ahead and save it as. I'm going to save it into. Well, now my computer wants to be slow. And take a bunch of time. Let's see. I don't want to lose whatever we work on here, so I am going to go ahead and try to save it very quickly. I know you can't see the save window because the streaming thing is just sort of blocking the view. You can't see it, but let's see. Classes. Maybe I should put this in as subclasses. I'm going to create a new folder and subclasses. Just goes to show I haven't worked on a subclass just yet. Not in here anyway. I have some in my OneNote that I'm working on eventually. And we're going to call it Bruiser Rogue. That sounds good for now. Maybe something like Charger. I don't know. Well, maybe that sounds silly or dumb. I don't know. But so this is all my template, and it's got a little bit more than we're going to need for this. For example, I've got everything from playable races, sections on playable races, and everything like that. So all we need is classes, which is, yeah, we're going to need just the classes section. So we're going to delete that, and maybe to try and help make the thing move a little bit faster, a little bit less laggy. We're going to go down to, we may leave spells there, because if this ends up having some kind of magical element, it would be cool to maybe create a new spell for it. But we don't need, well, all right, we'll keep the stat blocks for now. Because also we may create a stat block for that later on with the same supplement. It may not be on the stream, maybe I'll just do that later myself, but I rather prefer to not have to add that back in later, because it can break the format with Word if you do section breaks wrong. I don't know if you've ever run into that before, but basically if you do the section breaks wrong on whenever you copy a document, if you copy over 2 section breaks like this, that changes the number of columns from one file to another, and you copy that section, both section breaks over, it can break your page format to where the numbering won't match up. The background art doesn't match up anymore. Which, by the way, this background art does not match what we're doing now. This is all trees and nice, and little wind chimes, and little sapling coming out, and it seems so peaceful and serene, but or something to that effect. And this is a very different class. So classes, class name. We are going to call it. We'll call it the Bruiser some more. Bruiser Rogue. We'll call it the Bruiser Rogue because, yeah. Well, I'm going to write some flavor text eventually about this, but for now, before I replace any of those things that are reminders to write stuff, I'm just going to say, based on the action and movements of the Slayer from the new reboot of the Doom series. And skill description, life cycle description. Basically, yeah, these are just what the different sections seems to mean to me, so I wrote them up like that. Creating a class, that just explains how. Quick build, that just explains what stats you're probably going to want. We don't know any of those things yet, so we're going to skip straight to class features. So obviously, this is actually a subclass and not a class. We may not even need to format it this way. Do I have, no, I don't really have a section for subclasses for some reason. I don't yet. I haven't made that yet in any of my classes I was working on, or I did actually. I don't know why I don't have that, but not here yet. But yeah, so we've got the they just basically go in. This is just a small portion of it. They just call it rogue archetypes. And since we're basing this on the rogue, we don't need any of these because these are all built in to the rogue. And we will just say, actually, we're going to change this into roguish archetypes. By the way, you're going to see me misspell all the time because that is just what I do. Sorry about that. I am just terrible at spelling. Is that really? Yeah. So, and we're going to really say bruiser. Boom. Well, I don't know. They do it, apparently they, we'll go down here. Don't need equipment. We really just need the features. So we can delete all that. And they put this in the form of, oh, that's interesting. Huh. I actually was not aware of that. But basically, I've got all these templates up, style templates up here. So they put those like this, and class features or subclass features they do in this format, apparently, this layer, whenever they're doing subclasses. And I was not aware of that. Now, we're not going to need probably anywhere near this many. So I think that is enough for now. We'll erase the rest because these don't have anywhere. None of these have 8. So that's a bit of a, that's more than enough. So yeah, we want to do something where when, let's see, when the rogue, no, let's see. Do they say when the rogue? I always double check my formatting in case you're wondering. I'm not just saying, yeah, no, we gotta say starting at 3rd level, obviously. Starting at 3rd level, and there's a bit of nervousness here that's making me forget some of the things that are really easy to remember otherwise. And you know what? This is really hard for you to read, I'm sure. I mean, I can see on the other screen it's probably hard for you to read. So we're going to go view. We're going to go one page. We may even go page width. Yeah, we're going to go page width. So you can really see what I'm typing here because that's crazy. Those, if you can hear them, those are my kids in the background, by the way. That's going to be unavoidable, unfortunately, with the series. The other series I do, Guild Guide, I think I'm always going to try and keep it to where the girls, play in their room or something like that whenever we're doing it, because I want to be respectful to the creators of those supplements that I am reviewing. But unfortunately, they're going to make noise whenever I'm doing my own show. So I hope that doesn't bother anyone watching. But yeah. So starting at 3rd level, we want to make it so that when the rogue is grappling a creature, let's see, no, you know what, while grappling a creature, and doesn't need to be uppercase either. While grappling a creature, the rogue, we can say while grappling a creature, the rogue has advantage on attack rolls against it, and that would automatically grant it the sneak attack, which also would be a great way to encourage them to want to grapple, because they're not just guaranteeing their sneak attack. They are, in fact, getting, advantage. So the rogue has advantage on attack rolls against the grappled creature. So That's great right there, because yeah, you do not get that otherwise. It's just the condition ends if the grappler is incapacitated. So while grappling creature, the rogue has advantage on attack rolls against the grappled creature. Done. That's really quick. And we can call this. Well, think about the name. Maybe someone in chat will come in and want to suggest something. I don't know. I see blank one. I don't know if that's actually. I don't know if that's actually someone watching or not, with the chat being so inactive. I'm going to go ahead and type a little message here. Welcome and let's see. Please feel free to contribute ideas to the stream. Just in case someone comes in later and sees that, I want them to know. I don't know, actually. I'm new to Twitch. I don't know if they come in, they're allowed to, they immediately see what everyone else has said in the chat. I don't think that's the case, actually, now I think about it. But yeah, so we're going to call this Rind. Okay, so we actually gave them advantage on attack rolls against the grappled creature, but what if we want, okay, if we just want to do a character who rushes in and does the slaying and things like that, then this is great. The question is if we want to encourage the idea of crushing their heads, and so to speak. If we do, then it would be, we would want to say with unarmed attacks against the grappled creature. I don't know that we need to limit it to that, though, because while I like the idea of doing that, it goes away from the freedom of what players actually want to use this subclass for. I think that later we might be able to grant an additional feature that maybe allows you to, you know what? We could say, I have an idea. Let's see, starting, whoop, that's not what I meant to do. Starting at third level, this is going to be another one you get immediately. Starting at third level, your unarmed strikes deal 1d. Okay, when do you get your your sneak attack bonus, right? I'm thinking you'll deal damage. This is what I'm typing here because I stopped typing. I want to tell you what I'm typing at least. You deal 1d6 damage, right? Does that ever go up? I believe it. I know you deal more dice, but does the die type ever increase? I could probably just yell over there to my wife and ask her. Let's see. I don't. It just says the amount of extra damage increases as you gain level. Yeah, it just shown in the sneak attack column of the rogue table, and that is just the number of dice, and it's always a d6. Okay. So your unarmed strikes deal additional damage. So normally unarmed strikes deal 1 damage plus your strength modifier. Perhaps what we can do is we can actually make it to where your unarmed strikes deal damage equal to the number of sneak attack dice you get. But that feels a little bit awkward to say, and it appears to be that you get a number of sneak attack dice equal to half your level rounded up. So that's all we have to say. Your unarmed strikes deal damage, additional damage. There's my computer lagging a bit. Sorry about that. Starting at third level, your unarmed strikes deal additional damage. The damage dealt is equal to your strength modifier plus plus half your. Now, we could say level. We could say rogue level. If we say rogue level, obviously multi-classing doesn't get you additional bonuses here. I think it would be better to just say level and find out later if we need to tweak it. If we really think hard about it, we'll find out later. By the way, I do this. I'm going to turn this off because I realize it kind of looks very annoying to other people. To me, I had that I keep that turned on all the time because I've gotten so used to it, and it keeps track of everything from like section breaks and things like that. And to me, the whole time I'm editing, I'm also formatting. So yeah. So yeah, starting at 3rd level, your unarmed strikes deal additional damage. The damage dealt is equal to your strength modifier plus half your level. Now I don't know if this is going to be necessary, because people may just do unarmed. I don't know, but basically, yeah, that's the idea. Is that there? Now I've encouraged people to use unarmed strike, but we don't require them to, which means that we'll see how that goes. We don't require them to get their advantage on their attack rolls while grappling a creature. So if they need to use a magic weapon, if they're fighting something that's like a that has resistance to regular attacks, then they might want to pull out a silvered weapon, like for against lycanthropes, for example. So we may do that. So aside from that, we need a mobility deal. Now they already got, as a rogue, they already got their Roguish Archetype. You chose the cunning action. They already got the cunning action. They can disengage to move away, and they can dash to get up to a target. Now we need to encourage them to use that to hit their enemies more often, like to run around and slam into them. So yeah, so like I said before, whenever we were looking at these, it looks like they usually get 2 3rd level features, and we just did that. We got 2 3rd level features, so that's good. This one can be, oh, you know what? This is gonna be maybe dumb, or maybe it's great, but here we go. We just gave them 2 features, one called Smash and one called Grab. Smash and Grab. When you grab, you grab them, and then you try and crush them with your fists, or you slam into them, or whatever whatever it is. Maybe you slam them into the ground or something like that. By the way, I think we're going to go for like an hour. Right now we're 37 minutes in, so we'll go a little bit. We have a lot more to go, but yeah, for this episode. But yeah, this subclass may be done soon. This is going fairly smoothly, I think, and you might see it on DM's Guild. I don't know, within a week maybe, if it's real smooth. I don't have art for it, obviously, so maybe I'll release maybe I'll draw something up, or go find something that's like a placeholder from the what do you call them, the art that's the Creative Commons, but more importantly the one that's supplied to DM's Guild for creator resources. That's what they're called, the art from creator resources. And I might do that as a temporary thing. So the next one is at 9th level, and looks like they tend to do infiltration expertise is for the assassin. The thief gets supreme sneak. That gives an advantage on dexterity stealth check if you move no more than half your speed on the same turn. Interesting. Infiltration expertise. You can unfailingly create false identities of yourself. You must spend 7 days and 25 gold to establish the history, profession, blah, 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 blah. Basically, you're Loch Lamora from the Lies of Loch Lamora. You get yourself you get a good disguise, you do all that stuff, you prep ahead of time, and you come in pretending to be someone else entirely. Next one is at 13th level Imposter, and then 17th level Death Strike. But it looks like basically 9th level is a medium power ability, maybe even low power ability. So we need a 9th level. At 9th level, and it's starting. Oh wait, does it say it? Yeah, they just start saying at. Oh, I see. you gain the ability, or starting at you can. Okay, I see why. Yeah, we'll word that how they like to word it in just a minute. But for now, I'll just leave it like that. We want to do a mobility thing where when they slam into a target, they can grapple them. I think what it's all about grappling them and beating them up, it seems. But we need to have some alternatives before we give them the ability to maybe. What I'm thinking is later is potentially the 13th one at 13th level, or actually, I guess in this case, it looks like we would do starting at 13th level. If you move, okay, I'm trying to think of how they worded this particular ability. Another one, we'll worry about wording later. For now, I'll do it off of memory. I believe this is how they like to word these sort of charging abilities. I'll look at the Minotaur later. Well, I may have Ravnica here. No, it's up there. I'll look at Ravnica later and figure out the it's up on the shelf. So if you move at least 20 feet in a straight line, you before attempting to grapple a creature, a medium or smaller creature, you, let's see, your grapple automatically succeeds. Let's see. If you move at least 20 feet in a straight line before attempting, let's see. You know what? Yeah, before straight line. You know what? We're not going to word it this way. We're going to say if you move at least 20 feet in a straight line, you can grapple one creature. Okay, yeah, you can grapple one creature that is medium or below, or smaller in size. Done. You can grapple. Well, we may have to slightly tweak that. You can grapple one creature that is medium or smaller in size. No. Okay. I know I'm getting onto pedantics here, but it's important to word this well. I think the first time and for you, so you understand exactly what I'm trying to do here. And that is, if you move at least 20 feet in a straight line, let's see. If you move at least 20 feet in a straight line before, let's see, ending within 5 feet of a medium or smaller creature, you can grapple that creature. So you can grapple that creature. The grapple automatically succeeds. And the creature must make a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. This is like a tackle. We're going to call that tackle. By the way, because I named them these things, we're going to, that's not what I meant to do. X, V, smash and grab. So tackle is, yeah, so starting at 13th level, if you move at least 20 feet in a straight line ending within 5 feet of a medium or smaller creature, you can grapple that creature. The grapple automatically succeeds, and the creature must make a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. We need to make a DC for that. I would like to use your strength stat, or maybe something like your passive athletics. I think we'll do your strength. Strength saving throw or be knocked prone. Strength saving throw against your no. Be knocked prone. The DC is equal to your strength. Oop. Strength stat. Strength ability score. It is not called a stat in 5th edition. It's called an ability score. That's important for wording. Otherwise, you know, who knows what that means. The DC is equal to your strength ability score. We should say the DC for the saving throw is equal to your strength ability score. Done. Okay, so now if you bum rush someone, you can tackle them, and when you do, you automatically grapple them. Now, I could say that you have to go prone with them because you're tackling them like football or American football. You can I could definitely do that. But I don't want to give you a major disadvantage. Theoretically, that could give you an advantage. Maybe, I mean, player can drop prone by choice whenever they want as a free action, if I'm not mistaken. That's just a blanket rule. So the player can choose to drop prone as they tackle them and drop prone with them. So it already with base rules, that's built in, and the player has the freedom to do that. Because I don't want to give them disadvantage, I don't want to give other creatures advantage attacking them whenever they whenever they do that, so yeah, I'm gonna leave it up to choice. So like if you're tackling someone while archers are there are lots of archers around, or wizards or something like that, and you're trying to get advantage, you're trying to give them disadvantage on attacking you, then there you go, you're good to go. Otherwise, you can choose to stay up, and you don't have people who are melee combatants against you don't have advantage to kill you. So that's good. I like that. That's smoother. So we got smash and grab and tackle. These are really smooth names, and actually it's funny because that's kind of what rogues do. They've got assassinate, imposter, deathstroke, thieves reflexes is a little longer, fast hands. There are a couple of them that break that mold. But they're trying to do like fast, quick names, thief, assassin, that kind of stuff. And it makes sense. This kind of fits that vibe. So I like that. I think that's good. So at 9th level, I think that's a big ability because you're automatically grappling people. And then on top of that, they may fall prone. And that's all before, like, okay, I should probably, you can grapple that creature. You can grapple that creature as a bonus action. The grapple automatically succeeds. The creature must make a strength. We may remove the grapple automatically succeeds. If it's just a grapple as a bonus action, then that's actually already pretty good. If I'm not mistaken, I don't remember why we did this. Maybe it was the internet told us, but whenever you make an attack, you can make it be a grapple, or you can make it knock someone prone, or you can push someone back. And you can replace any attack action with it. So bonus action attacks with your offhand can do that too. Or maybe it was the extra attack feature that we were doing that with. I don't remember. But yeah, we're going to leave it as it automatically succeeds for now. And if that's too broken, then that's fine. Oh, no, I got an idea. Anyone within 5 feet of a creature, you can grapple that creature as a bonus action. If the creature is I have it copied so I can do that, is medium or smaller, the grapple automatically succeeds, and the creature must make a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. There we go. That's a lot better. If you move at least 20 feet in a straight line, ending within 5 feet of a creature, you can grapple that creature as a bonus action. If the creature is medium or smaller, the grapple automatically succeeds, and the creature must make a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. The DC for the saving throw is equal to your strength ability score. I think that's perfect. I think that's perfect how it is. So now we got to go on to, we got a 17th level, and that's the last one. So we've got to fill in that 9th level, and then starting at 17th level. Now I need to see what kind of power level this is. And again, it automatically does that every time. I think there's a setting that I can turn off that'll get rid of that, but whatever. Here we go. So starting at 17th level, and then starting at 9th level. Now, the 9th level is you can unfailingly create false identities. That's the one's medium power. Generally non-combat related. I mean, stealth, sneaking, supreme sneak is sort of combat related, but it's not definitely. That's how you get your if you have a magic ring that turns you invisible, you can become, Bilbo Baggins with that supreme sneak, and you can steal stuff. But Death Strike, 17th level, you become a master of instant death. When you attack and hit a creature, if that is surprised, it must make a Constitution saving throw against your DC. On a failed save, double the damage of your attack against the creature. See, now that would be a great one to just plug into this one, but we're not copying other abilities, so we're going to have to think of something else. Thieves reflexes. So if you are a DM at home and you're watching this and you end up buying this supplement because you like the look of it and you want to support my show and my stream, then I'll give you explicit permission right now. If you didn't think you already had it, there's a DM, you already have it, but you can talk to your player and replace whatever I put here with Death Strike, because that is a great one for this if you want to. It's a great fit. The other one is Thieves' Reflexes. You have become adept at laying ambushes and quickly escaping danger. You can take 2 turns during the first round of any combat. You take your first turn at your normal initiative and your second turn at your initiative minus 10. You can't use this feature when you are surprised. I didn't even know that existed. I've never read that. Honestly, I've only read half of The Thief at best previously. I may have never even read the Thief subclass in detail, but man, that's amazing. Being able to use 2 turns. Honestly, either of those could be used for this. That grants you more mobility, more hits. That feels very Doom Guy. The arcane, the Death Strike is very Doom Guy as well. So if you ever want to plug in either of those, feel free. We will create an entirely unique one though for this class that makes sense. Here's what I am thinking: whenever the Slayer, because the Doom Guy in the older games, best bet for melee attacks was a fist with a brass knuckle or a chainsaw. Whenever the Slayer kills somebody in melee combat, he hits them with a melee attack, and it's like an assassination from Halo Reach or what have you. It does a fancy animation, or they weren't the first one to do it. I'm not saying that, but basically it's like that. Whenever it does like a fancy animation, where you do an instant kill. So what I am thinking of is that we might be able to give it something akin to power word kill. 17th level. Doesn't need, this is a high level rogue. It might be something like you would make an attempt against them to do something, to do an instant kill, crush their skull kind of thing. If they have 100 hit points or lower, then they die. Maybe there's a save involved, something to that effect, like a Constitution save to resist the attack. Or it can be done once a day. I don't want to make it to where, obviously if you're fighting a dragon and they have too much hit point, like basically Power Word Kill, I think is a 7th level spell, if I'm not mistaken. And I could pull up DnDBeyond and find out for sure, but it's something like a 7th level spell. So, and you only get 1 7th level spell per day. So it's already limited to 1 per day. If we lower the amount of hit points they need to have, so for example, Let's start writing it, and then we'll tweak things like that as we go. But let's see. In fact, you know what? I'm going to flip through my book over here on the side to Power Word Kill, and I'm going to word it using their style. Because first off, I'll be publishing this on DM's Guild, so I will be allowed, you know, to make some references, some excerpts from the book by the by that what do you call it, license that they give. So I don't feel like they would have a problem with that. You utter a word of power that can compel one creature you can see within range to die instantly. If the creature you choose has 100 hit points or fewer, it dies. Otherwise, the spell has no effect. The range is 60 feet on that. You have to be grappling a target for this one, so you cannot use this against a dragon, for example, unless you have succeeded on the grapple check, because we made it to where tackle automatically works on medium or smaller creatures, but not on large creatures or, you know, anything else. I would, as a DM, potentially rule that someone who has a powerful build, like a half orc, or I mean a full orc, or a Goliath, or a Minotaur, something like that, I may allow them to try do this against large creatures, but um, I don't know. Maybe not. That might be a little broken to give them that bonus while doing this class, but it might be cool. But they already will, apparently, now I think about it. The charge attack of the Minotaur, you can hit with your horns whenever you charge, and then at the same time, you're moving at the same 20 feet in a straight line and ending within 5 feet of that creature. Then you can grapple that creature as a bonus action. So you could use your action to slam into them with your horns and then grapple them, or do it the other way around. When this one happens, when the horn happens, would be, I guess, up to the player's choice, I believe, by the wording of both of the abilities. So that would be very interesting. But anyway, we need to go back to 17th level before we get to an hour. It's already 57 minutes, and if I go a little bit over, maybe it's not too bad, but not by more than like 5 minutes, 10 minutes, something like that at best, or at most. So starting at 7th level, let's see. I'm just going to say, let's see. Starting at 7th level, you can attempt to crush a creature that you are grappling. Crush, I can say the vital organs or something to that effect, but I would like to say crush the skull, but I don't want to specify that because some creatures don't have skulls, and also some players will want to crush other things, so I'll just leave it at that. You can attempt to crush a creature that you are grappling. If the creature you choose has 10 pin, yeah, I'm going to say if the creature has 100 hit points or fewer, it dies. I just thought, should power word kill kills? That's what it does. But this one, sometimes you may want to crush someone until they just don't breathe and fall unconscious. The creature has 100 hit points or fewer. I can say it either falls unconscious or die. Oh, I already have that anyway. Or dies. Your choice. I would put that in parentheses. There's a few places in some of the books where just in parentheses said DM's choice. So I feel confident just doing that. That's the way they would word it. Otherwise, the spell has no effect. So, yeah. Otherwise, I feel like otherwise there should be Like if you make this attempt, oh yeah, attempt to crush a creature, starting at 17th level, you can attempt to crush a creature that you're grappling. As an action, you can attempt to crush. Yeah. Starting at 17th level, as an action, you can attempt to crush a creature that you are grappling. If the creature has 100 hit points or fewer, it either falls unconscious or dies. Your choice. Otherwise, now we could limit it to once per day. That would be fine. We can say, or something that would be fine. Although mechanically, thematically, that feels like it's not fitting the mechanics here. Maybe if I say you can unleash, like let's say, oh, we're at 1 hour and the clock is no longer ticking. I wonder what that means. It just says 1 hour. Maybe because it's not showing me seconds anymore. It'll show me whenever it goes up by minutes. My bad. This is the first stream I've actually looked at that for. First stream I've gone to an hour for. So as an action, you can attempt to crush a creature that you are grappling. If the creature has 100 hit points or fewer, it either falls unconscious or dies. Your choice. Okay, so we can say, if we wanted to, we can say as an action you can harness all of your strength to crush a creature that you are grappling. And that would imply that afterward you may be exhausted, not literally gaining a level of exhaustion, but that you have exhausted whatever well within you have. Maybe as an action you can draw upon a well of strength within you to crush a creature that you're grappling. And then at the end we can say I could say as an action once per day you can attempt to, and then and that will give you the idea that you're using all of your energy to do this, and now you have to recover it after a long rest. So then I would say later you recover the ability to do this after a long rest or a short rest. I could do it as a short rest. That's not a bad idea. But because it's a gamble, either I have to give it. They say otherwise, the spell has no effect. This doesn't. I don't have to say there is an alternative. I can make it a gamble. They may have 100 hit points or fewer, or maybe not. You know what I mean? At 17th level, if you're attacking something that has fewer than 100 hit points, as a rogue, you're probably going to sneak attack and kill them anyway. What this does is it avoids people being able to have damage. It avoids damage immunities. It bypasses damage immunities. It allows, which by the way, maybe I got to word something in here so that you can't do this to a ghost, for example. They're immune to bludgeoning damage, things like that. Are they immune to grappling? Ghosts may be immune to grapple. There are a lot of creatures that are immune to grapple. This subclass may need some help with that, but you don't need to grapple to do all of these effects. So maybe at 3rd level, we have to give you something that you can do that doesn't involve grappling, but I guess you can always fall back on your regular rogue sneak attack and daggers and all that kind of stuff. And honestly, if we don't give you magic, if you don't make your unarmed strikes magical, then whenever you're fighting a ghost anyway, you're not going to want to grapple them and use this unarmed strike and all that kind of stuff. So you're good against corporeal entities with this one. I don't think that we need to tweak that. I think that it's fine to do that. It just means that if you're playing this in a party, you're going to want to rely on your cleric to keep those ghosts at bay. Or maybe your ranger if they're doing magic attacks with their bow. But anyway, so starting at 17th level, as an action, you can attempt to crush a creature that you are grappling. If the creature has 100 hit points or fewer, it either falls unconscious or dies. Your choice. I don't think we have to put a limit here. Because it's a gamble, and then we'll let you recover it on a short rest. You regain the ability to do this again. You regain the ability to do this again after a short rest. And then we got to word it up here so that it only works once as an action. Oh, starting at 17th level. How do they word that? Is it once per day? trying to think of. Okay, I can look up the channel divinity. Can't use this feature on. Let's see. So you can use channel divinity to heal. No, not channel divinity. Which one is it? Is that correct? Yeah. There it is. I gain the ability to channel divine energy directly from your deity using energy. You start with 2 such effects. Blah, blah, blah. When you use your channel divinity, you choose which of the effects to create. You must then finish a short or long rest to use your channel divinity again. Okay, so that one is not worded as they normally do. I look at playable races. I believe the Tiefling can cast a spell once per day, and that would be a good way to do it. You know, Thaumaturgy cantrip. You can cast the Helic Rebuke spell. It's a second level spell once with this trait. So yeah, as an action, you can attempt to crush a creature that you're you can as an action. As an action, you can attempt to crush a creature that you're grappling. No, you can attempt. So you can draw. Let's see. You can something that involves building up energy. You can. We'll just say harness, I suppose. Harness an inner strength to crush a creature that you're grappling. As an action, harness inner strength once to crush. You can expend, or we'll say expend for now. I believe I can come up with a better word for that. As an action, you can expend an inner strength to crush a creature that you are grappling. If the creature has 100 hit points or fewer, it either falls unconscious or dies. Your choice. You gain the ability to do this again after a short rest. As an action, you can expend an inner strength to crush a creature. Your inner strength once to crush a creature that you're grappling. I may have to reword this one later, but the words aren't immediately coming to mind. But basically, this one, I think, we got smash, grab, tackle. We can call this crush. This is like, normally rogues are, aside from the arcane trickster and the inquisitive rogue, rogues are generally low intelligence and wisdom, and they get themselves into trouble, and they're high charisma, and people always tend to make that. This one may be low intelligence, more like a barbarian, because you might be doing dex and strength. You may even do constitution to make yourself a little sturdier. Armor proficiencies. We talked about that at the beginning of the stream. We never gave, or video, depending on if you're watching this on YouTube or not, we never gave this subclass an armor proficiency better than light. At 9th level, we may grant armor proficiencies, but we might have to just grant that as an additional proficiency at 3rd level. Hard to say. If we do grant it at an early level, what that will do is at 3rd level, you'll suddenly want to upgrade your armor, which means over time you'll be looking for it. You'll actually be prepping for it. If we give it at 9th level, then suddenly the rogue wants to use the armor that the fighter is already wearing. Or maybe the rogue is looking forward to the 9th level because no one uses armor yet, and someone found it, and now we're holding on to it until 9th level, and that feels weird, holding on to 9th armor for that long just to put it on. Maybe it's magic armor or something. It feels strange. Perhaps if you literally want to make the Doom guy, you'll just take the armor proficiencies in a feat, or you'll cross class into not barbarian, into fighter perhaps. But I don't. Or you'll just choose a maybe a dwarf, and you'll get the armor proficiency anyway. But anyway, we don't need to put that in at 9th level. That would be weird to just suddenly gain armor proficiency at 9th level. So I don't know that we're going to do that. What we need to think about is a non-combat ability that feels like something this character would be capable of. Now, if we're thinking about non-combat things that the Slayer and or Doom guy does, well, that's we got to go to Doom 3 if we want to think about that, because other than opening doors and picking up weapons, I can't think of a single other thing. Maybe smashing a control panel. So yeah, we'll have to think about, well, if we go to Doom 3, there's terminals. There's the ability to know where enemies are located using cameras that are built up all over the level. Now, those are not the Doom guy's ability. That's the or the Marine or whatever they call him in that. That's actually just you know, his ability. That's just the building you're in. We're at 10 minutes past, and we're going to have to rush through this one. I may leave this one blank for now and come up with it later, but the things that the Doom guy can do in that involve basically control terminals and computers and finding logs from people and things like that. So we got to come up with something that's going to give a non-combat feature for this. This is kind of a barbarian rogue, sort of. So maybe this is maybe this 9th level is going to be hard to come up with because it's so combat oriented in the subclass. We could yeah, we may need to end it there, and let me just come up with that before I release it, which would leave a little mystery for you for whenever you go see it on the DM's Guild. You'll finally find out what that is, because at the moment I am drawing a blank. But I'll talk to my wife because she plays a rogue, and maybe she'll come up with something. But you know, it could be anything from strength-based things like ability checks, things like that. It could be something involving climbing. Maybe they're really good. Well, that is one thing. If I do something involving climbing instead of stealth, then you technically. Hi, how's it going? I see that we got someone in. Fine, you know, it's we are right at the end of we're getting to the end of the stream, unfortunately. It is an old version. This is 2010. I cannot afford to upgrade, so I'm using the one that I have. Actually, I have nothing else up there. So we're looking at what we were creating, since you're new to the stream. And maybe I will end up ending the YouTube video right then, or maybe I'll continue it for now because or whatever. But I'm going to continue the stream for now because I see I finally have a viewer. Is that we're talking about I was inspired by the fact that they created that they played Doom on Critical Role, and I thought about the Slayer, and what the Slayer does in combat is unlike anything that people can do in actual D&D. And I wanted to make it to where there was a class that kind of like the acrobat rogue moves around a lot, but not by magic, you know. My honor implementation. Are you referring to hold on. Are you talking about in my background I've got the combatant? Yeah. So this is actually just in my template. The honor is actually in the Dungeon Master's Guide. I created this background as a well, I think I stripped the name of it and stuff like that. But basically, it's a half orc. Well, not half orc. It doesn't have to be half orc, but yeah, it's from the DMG. It's an honor score. But what I did was I granted it to anyone who takes this background and gave them this feature because this is for a gladiator. And basically, You have made a name for yourself and find it easy to convince your fans or fans of the arena to do what you want based on your honor. They can be convinced to give you free things such as food or drink, or do minor tasks for you in exchange for autographs or a display of your arena abilities or personality. Also, when dealing with fans or of fighting pits and arenas in general, your skill and showmanship becomes apparent to them in the way you present yourself. And you gain advantage on persuasion and intimidation checks when you use your honor instead of charisma. So it's an additional stat, additional ability score. It does not replace anything else. So whenever you're raising your ability scores, you now have another pool. So you may end up losing. You know what I mean? Like whenever you're, yeah, you can lose your you can end up losing points overall because you have more ability scores to dump them into. So like if you had goblins that threw capturees into a fighting pit, they could be intimidated with honor. Yes, you could. And what I did is whenever you're granted this thing, this is how you determine your starting stat in it. You don't roll for it. You don't get to do point buy to add to it or anything like that. This is your stat. Is your honor ability score is determined by starting with 8 and adding your charisma and wisdom ability modifiers. Because the way I see it is, honor is kind of a combination of charisma and wisdom. It's your ability to have wisdom is like your ability to think about the right thing to do and things like that. And honor is about maintaining your personal ability. Your personal honor is very you need wisdom to be able to maintain that and know what the right thing to do is to maintain your honor and to not lose honor and not become dishonorable. And then charisma is your ability to make other people think you're honorable without you ever actually having to be honorable. You just hold yourself in a way that looks honorable. You just have the right stature and stuff like that. So if once you combine these two, you get your honor ability. I might release this on DM's Guild actually, because you just reminded me I never did, and I made it for a player, and I'm eventually maybe going to release my world, but this was basically my version of the gladiator because I didn't like the performer aspect of the gladiator that's in the book. Can I see the 2 backgrounds? I don't think I have more than one. I think I just have I think I just call it backgrounds. But yeah, and this is all just sitting in my template, I think, right? Victorious combatant, yeah. I think I just have the one. It just is called backgrounds plural, but background name, and I got spells and creatures and NPCs. Actually, I think I may have the spell. Maybe I don't. This is just the template spell thing. Yeah. So, yeah, basically, yeah. What the stream was about, by the way, is I was creating this roguish archetype based on the Slayer from Doom because of what that character can do in combat. I'm glad that you asked about that though, because you just reminded me I never released this, and I could put it on DM's Guild, and it is totally ready to go. And because I just didn't like the way that the gladiator was. It felt like a professional wrestler. The gladiator background, the official one, feels like a professional wrestler instead of a gladiator, and I didn't like that. And I was like, I don't want my gladiators to be walking around, like flaunting their feathers like peacocks or something like that. I want my gladiators to be intimidating and stare you down and get all that kind of stuff. So yeah, that's what I had in mind for that one. That's why this is built this way. And you kind of have seen the whole thing now. So I mean, in a way, you could probably just implement this at home. But if you've watched this, but yeah, I'm gonna put it on the DM's Guild and see if I can get people to send me like 50 cents or something like that for that background. But maybe to support the channel. I mean, I want to keep doing this show. I used to watch Happy Fun Hour, and I thought it was really cool, and I miss it, and I thought it'd be really like I really enjoyed that one, so I thought I would make my own show like that, and that's what I'm trying to do here. I don't know if you ever watched that one, but yeah. So this one is basically I created this. So far, what we've got is, in case you're wondering about this, this roguish archetype is that the idea was in the Slayer or the Doom guy rushes around and slams into people and just slaughters them and stuff like that. How exactly do you balance homebrew? I tend to, well, first off, what most important thing to me right off the bat is when I go and go to create something like in this case a roguish archetype, I go and look at the archetypes that already exist. I look at what powers they have, and I kind of I try to use them to gauge the power level of what the main class expects you to get at that level. Like the main class expects you to get 2 subclasses at 3rd level with the rogue, for example, right here. Right as soon as you get this thing, you're supposed to get 2. And they usually are combat abilities. Looking at them, they're very usually combat abilities because they already got their dash and disengage and stuff. And then so I go and I try and make 2. And then I try and balance them individually against what they have in the book because I know they've balanced their subclass and their class already. So as long as I sort of match to that, it's fine. So if I do anything that makes me deal additional damage, in this case, your unarmed strikes deal additional damage. The damage dealt is equal to your strength modifier, which is already how unarmed strikes work, +1 usually. In this case, it's plus half your level, which means, oh, I should say rounded up, because in this case, I wanted to make it scale with the player, and I looked at the number of sneak attack dice that the rogue gets. See, what kind of stuff does UA do officially? That's a good question. Wait, you mean like on our like since I don't work with Wizards of the Coast, I'm unaffiliated. I'm not sure exactly how they do their see, Unearthed Arcana, yeah. And I'm not affiliated with them, so I don't know how they do their balancing. But I did watch the Happy Fun Hour and learned a lot from Mike Merles, and that's kind of where I learned to balance from him. And they took all those down. Although that show has been taken off the internet, and so unfortunately it's gone and people can't watch it anymore. So that's why I want to make my own show that's similar, because I liked showing off how you make stuff. I think is great for other people to learn how to make stuff. And since I already learned almost all, I mean, as many lessons as I could from him, and I've learned from Matt Colville, and I've been learning over time creating my own stuff, that I feel like I could transfer information to other people and help them be able to make better as well. Um, in this case, yeah. So the main things you got to think about is that the 2 main things is that there's actually 2 different fields of balance. You can balance in combat, or you could balance in, like outside of combat in like RP. And a lot of the times, if you make an ability that is balanced for combat, it'll end up being unbalanced for RP, or if it's like magical, like the ability to turn invisible and things like that can completely change roleplay. Even though it's a little thing in combat to turn invisible, it can be a major thing for roleplay. So you have to consider the way you're balancing for both. In this case, with these abilities, they primarily don't have a problem balancing both because they're mostly to do with attacks and grappling and things like that. This is like a rogue that bum rushes you, tackles you, and then beats you up on the ground. That's why I called it a bruiser temporarily. I don't like that name, and I think that people have already used it on DM's Guild, so I don't really want to use it unless I have to, unless I can't think of anything else. But basically, yeah, it's I should save this. I haven't saved it once the entire time we've been streaming. I could have lost that entire thing. I would have had to go recreate it for my own video. But yeah, the basically, yeah, whenever you're balancing against damage for combat, you just need to think about damage. You need to think about action economy, and it's a lot more mechanical and easier to think about. Whenever you're thinking for role play, you just got to think about what kind of situations you're going to end up in, and the cap for damage. I know that's all vague. That's not too vague to use for instruction, but you got to think about how much damage you're going to deal on a turn, and you just look at it and you think about you got to look at it like how much damage can this class normally deal on a turn? How many attacks do they get? Because like a monk doesn't deal a lot of damage, but they get like freaking 8 attacks or something like that. If you're, if you're once you're leveling up and stuff like that, they can get a ton of attacks. And so if you increase their damage to something like that of a rogue, then you're going to break the game. But if you increase it a little bit, as long as you don't, go too far, or you do like basically like rogues get sneak attack already. What I'm granting them here is when they're grappling someone, the rogue has advantage on all attack rolls against the grappled creature. Now, I looked at what the rogue can do, and I know that they get sneak attack against a creature anytime they have advantage when attacking that creature. So I just gave the rogue, if they're successfully grappling someone, they always get their sneak attack bonus every time. And so that is a big deal. But they have to complete a grapple check. So then later, though, I wanted to upgrade their power. Being able to grapple someone is not a big deal, except for in roleplay, actually. So normally in the game, it's not a big deal, rather. But this subclass gets their sneak attack every time they're grappling someone. So if they're grappling someone, yeah, basically, I gave them down here, if you move at 20 feet in a straight line, ending within 5 feet of a creature, you can grapple that creature as a bonus action. Now, I thought about action economy. I thought about how you can already grapple someone if you rush up to them, but that takes an action instead of a bonus action. So I granted them the ability to do it as a bonus action. And if the creature is medium or smaller, the grapple automatically succeeds, and the creature must make a strength saving throw or be knocked prone. So the DC for the saving throw is equal to your strength ability score. So basically, how hard you slam into them. I could have done it like half the distance you move, and maybe that would be cooler. Actually, that might be something I tweak and do before I release on the DM's Guild. But strength saving, I mean, basically, I use the, I use the strength ability score of the person tackling, because sometimes whenever you're tackling at the very last minute, you do a jump, like a dive, and that can increase your strength. So I think it's more about that final dive that does it. But anyway, the point is that I gave them the ability to automatically succeed against a medium or smaller creature. So now they're going to be grappling people all the time. And then once they're grappled, they're going to be dealing be dealing their sneak attack. And just as a little bonus here, because I liked the idea, this is like monks usually get this kind of thing, but this is more of but I'm giving it sort of like to the rogue. And as your unarmed strikes deal additional damage, the damage dealt is equal to your strength modifier plus half your level rounded up. So you don't get all the attacks that a monk usually gets, but you do get but you do get to where your unarmed strikes deal more damage. So you can actually use unarmed strikes as a rogue and be effective. You don't have to use a dagger, you don't have to use a sword, and eventually with this subclass, unless you're using a magic weapon, then your unarmed strikes are going to start dealing more damage than your dagger or whatever, and it's a guaranteed. At first level, you're going to deal 2 damage because it's half your level rounded up. Sorry, it's your strength modifier. Sorry. So you could have a strength modifier of +3 at first level. You could deal 4 damage with your unarmed strikes. As you level up, that's going to slowly go up, and it's guaranteed damage. You don't have to roll. So that's kind of powerful. But you're not a monk, so you're still like a rogue normally does. You're only dealing your damage when you hit on your turn, with a 1 attack, maybe 2. With unarmed strikes, you can only make 2 on a turn. You never get another feature that lets you get more attacks based on this subclass. You could theoretically bring the cross classes into monk and get way more melee attacks. And actually, that's something I hadn't thought about, but that may be a way to break this. Is if you cross class this into monk, then you deal more damage with your unarmed strikes, and you start dealing dealing more and more attacks. But you have to level this one up basically to like 17 or maybe 16, and then you get like 8 plus your strength. At 16th level, you might have 20 strength, so you might have a +5, or is that +6? It's +5. You might have you might be dealing, you might be dealing 13 damage with every single unarmed strike, and it's guaranteed 13 damage every time, which is pretty insane. But if you're attacking with a dagger or magic weapon or something like that, by the time you're 16th level, you may have a magic weapon, and so it's just viable. Again, you can use your magic weapon and then attack unarmed strike as your secondary attack. I know I'm kind of rambling and going all over the place at this point, but basically, it should balance out in the end. You'd have to cross-class into monk for it to start breaking. And cross-classing is already optional, so you don't really have to worry about that as much unless it really, really breaks the game. So yeah, and then so basically yeah. So let me go back and reiterate, because that was your question, was how exactly do I balance homebrew? Yeah, I compare to the subclass. I compare to the class. If I'm making a class, I compare to what other classes get, and I try not to go too fast. I try not to throw too many abilities at them and features in there. And if it's got a really strong class, then you have to make the subclasses be more about flavor and roleplay. If like you deal too much damage or have too many spells from the class, all of your subclass options need to be small abilities that do roleplay and give you the ability to maybe, like, for example, a caster who already has access to certain spells, you might start giving them those spells that they like, one or two spells to where that doesn't count against their spell slots, or something like that, because they already have that, but they already have the spell. They just have to use a spell slot. But now they don't have to worry about their spell slots when they cast that spell or something like that. And you always want to do low level spells if you're removing a currency like spell slots, then you want to do low level spells. But basically, that's the kind of thing is you want to balance the main class so that you don't give them too many features up front, or like to overpower. That's my daughters in the background, if that's annoying or something. But yeah, sorry about that. But yeah, during these streams for my own stuff, I'm gonna have to have them in the background sometimes, because I can't get around that. But basically, yeah, whenever you do that, you're gonna have so if you make the class powerful, you got to make the subclasses weaker. And if you make the classes the subclass is really powerful, you got to make the main class weaker. And it may just be weaker in that it's all in one thing. Like the rogue is all about stealth, one or two skills that you pick to become, what do you call it? Not proficient. The other thing, for some reason, the word's not coming to mind. Actually, I've got the thing right here. Expertise, to get expertise in. And then you get sneak attack, expertise. Okay, can you get mommy to do that? Sorry. Yeah. So yeah, basically you give your class basically with I lost my train of thought. My bad. But yeah, you want to balance those against each other. And you want to, if you're making a subclass for a class that already exists, you want to compare it to other subclasses of that class. And then whenever you are yeah, and sorry about that. I was on a roll, and then I forgot. I lost my train of thought. My bad. Yeah. Basically, I don't remember where I was on that train of thought. I'm sorry about that. My daughter just came up asking me to put clothes on her doll. But yeah. What do you think? How do you think about what I've said so far? Do you have any questions about that? Because that may get me back on track if you've got a specific question about it. Maybe I stopped at some point before saying something that would have been more useful, and you've maybe made you wonder about a specific thing, and that might help me actually get back on track. But yeah. So what kind of stuff do subclasses grant usually? It kind of depends on the class. And that's actually one of the beauties of 5th edition in general, is that that's where the versatility comes in. Is like your main class is set on what it can do, and then your subclass can be anything from like an eldritch knight to an archer to a sword fighter, that kind of thing. For the fight, that's just the fighter, you know what I mean? And like different domains of cleric have all sorts of different abilities and things like that. So that's really where the versatility comes in. What I would suggest, if you're trying to think about what you want to grant in a subclass, is if you get into it, and there are two ways to go about it. In this particular case, I was thinking about the Doom game, specifically the newer ones, and the gameplay that's involved, how fast you move, how much you crush enemies' skulls between your hands. You're rushing up, grabbing them to where they can't attack you, like grabbing their hands and doing all sorts of stuff. and destroying them. That's why down here I eventually give you at 17th level the ability. Basically, this is power word kill, but it only works on someone you're grappling, so it's not 60 feet. It only works once a day, so just like power word kill at 7th level, it's a 7th level spell, I believe. Actually, I had it looked up earlier. I could have referred to that, but basically, this one is it's a basically, yeah, you're dealing if it's got 100 hit points or fewer, it kills them outright. Or unlike power word kill, you can choose to subdue them, make them unconscious instead with this ability. Uh, basically, yeah, if I was thinking in terms of what does the Doom guy do, and I was just thinking about that. What is the, well, that's what they used to call him in the old games. Now he's called the Slayer. And or maybe officially he was always internally called that, but that's beside the point. So what you're asking is though about what they grant. If I wanted to go in and make, I usually go about making subclasses and classes and playable races by thinking of the flavor first. So I get inspired by something. The next stream I do like this is going to be a playable race that's based on a character from the cartoon Kipo on Netflix. I had a really cool idea based on a character in that, and that's what I'm going to do next is a playable race. But basically, whenever I go into these, I usually think of a flavor, and then I think about what I want to do to make the player feel like they are that. In this case, I guess it is a flavor. It's just that the flavor is more about the vibe you get while playing Doom, whereas like the movement and actions and things like that. Whereas normally I would go, for example, my first playable race that I ever made, which the cover is still them. That's these guys. They're called the Dewata. They were inspired by an anime I watched where called the 12 Kingdoms. That was, and in that anime there was the world, the like Narnia style alternate universe world that the main character fell into. Is in that world people aren't born by childbirth like normal. The children are born from these giant fruit that grow on trees. And that's also, I guess, important for what the cover art is. So like this child here in this tree, in this fruit, in this tree. They basically, I was inspired by that idea and decided to create my own, playable race off of it. And so that's backgrounds. And basically, I was like, well, if that's the case, then what would these things be like if they come from a tree? Unlike, in the 12 Kingdoms, it's like it's just a character. It's just humans are born from trees. But I think also animals can talk, and their children are also born from trees. It's really weird. That like a couple will go to the tree, pray to the tree for like months, and then finally it'll grow a child for them. And it's really weird. But the what I wanted to do, because I'm not going to say that about all the characters in the world, every single playable race. I wanted to create my own playable race, and then so I started thinking like, well, I'll make it like tree like people, like maybe like a dryad style. Then I found out about the Dewata, because dryads already exist in D&D, so I started looking for other things. I didn't want, and I wanted them to be more or less like the monstrous sort of style dryad that they have in D&D. So I was like, I wanted something better suited for it, and I found out that Dewata, which other like basically Christendom had tried to demote and call them basically dryads, but in reality they were originally in their mythology they were originally like demigods or gods, straight up like gods or something. So that felt cooler to me. I made them basically descended from gods, but basically all their powers that I created for them. And I suppose I could try and pull up my Word doc on that one just to show it off a bit. Let me think. Let's see. Where do I have that? Basically, I created all of their abilities to be built around that, and then their abilities ended up giving me other ideas. I had the idea that since they're not born from a from parents like humans are and stuff like that, that maybe they don't have genders. They don't have male or female. Well, they may have genders, but they don't have sexes. They don't have private parts basically. And so the idea, I just realized that I opened that, and I don't know where it's opening or anything like that. I'm gonna have to switch screen, but we'll see. It'll work out pretty well. But basically, so what I did with them is okay, I need to add it, change. Where is it? Player hand. Let's see. There we go. Dewada. Done. Save. Did that do it? Oh, it hasn't loaded, so it's not. There we go. So, well, screen share. I don't know what's going on, but anyway, for now I'll just keep talking instead of worrying about the other thing to show you. But basically, the idea is, oh, you know what I could do? Main screen. I think this might work. Okay, it sort of works, but it's taking forever to load for some reason. But yeah, anyway, so basically I created abilities and powers that would, I thought, okay, if they don't have male and female, they only have, they can have men and women and things like that, other genders and things like that that they identify with, but they don't have male and female organs or anything like that. So the idea was maybe instead they have different methods of like societal norms and things like that that developed over time, and they have different ways that their god that sort of became them. It's kind of complicated where they came from, but basically the god that sort of became them granted them the ability to change forms. So you might think like the Eladrin from of the elves. But rather than just changing form, I don't know what's going on with the loading. Oh, wait, it's still not showing it on there. For some reason, it's not. See, change. Yeah, see, I want to do that. Do want to reveal? Done. Okay, there we go. Now it's showing it. Okay, so now you can see it. So basically, this is the updated version. That other one is just my template. Oh, sorry. Well, basically, yeah, I'd go off flavor. So I'm sorry that I started rambling and lost track of you and had my computer problems. But I'll talk about some more next time if you come back in and ask me about some more. I'll go into it some more and I'll try and think about some better answers and some more clear, smooth answers. So yeah, thank you for coming. I might actually split this one into two and just do one that's sort of like a lesson, I guess, kind of style thing. I don't know. But yeah. All right. Yeah. So once you leave, I'll just go ahead and end the stream because I think I've talked about the actual original class enough at this point. So yeah. But basically, yeah. All right. So that is pretty much what I was going for this stream. I'm going to turn that off, go back to this, show it one last time, and say, yeah, we've got the bruiser, smash and grab. I'm gonna fill in this feature still. Tackle, that allows you to take people down and automatically grapple them and knock them prone. Crush allows you to potentially basically power word kill them. And it just feels very Doom Slayer style character class. The number 3. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet. The level at 9th level. I'm not sure what I'm going to do yet, but we'll see how it goes. Anyway, thanks for coming, everybody. I'll go ahead and end the stream. Thank you.